Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Mesta isukame Claudia Shemo ya utayu. Shabete ya komera javeni kenam pokayue tita pero yemu que ak.
De donde soy no nos rajamos, cualquier tierra la trabajamos. El sacrificio jamás es en vano, que hasta el espacio hemos llegado. Where we are from, no nos rajamos, and what we dream of lo realizamos. Gran paisano, hermano, amigo, soy mexicano. Y cambiamos de lugar, no de bandera, verde, blanco y rojo lo llevo en las venas. Como el águila volamos sin fronteras, rompemos la malla que separa tierras y nacimos con legado de grandeza. Extraño mi rancho, también mi familia, pueblo querido que no se me olvida, aunque de este lado me trajo la vida, siempre paradela como Pancho Villa. Y cambiamos de lugar, no de bandera, verde, blanco, rojo lo llevo en las venas. Como el águila volamos sin fronteras, rompemos la malla que separa tierras y nacimos con legado de grandeza.
A nuestras mujeres y madres inmigrantes, un ejemplo de fuerza y valor. ¡Y que viva México!
Y aunque el acta diga americano, hay en puro mexicano.
Y cambiamos de lugar, no de bandera, verde, blanco y rojo lo llevo en mis venas.
Como el águila volamos sin fronteras, rompemos la malla que separa tierras y nacimos con legado de grandeza.
Esta es mi casa, aquí nací, en Tepetitán. Macuspana, Tabasco. La verdadera felicidad es darle la mano a quien lo necesita. Y que caminemos todos juntos. A Palacio o a Palenque, Chiapas.
Para no hacer de mí cono pedazos, para salvarme entre únicos e impares, para cederme un lugar en su Parnaso, para darme un rinconcito en sus altares. Me vienen a convidar a arrepentirme, me vienen a convidar a que no pierda, me vienen a convidar a indefinirme. Me vienen a convidar a tanta mierda. Yo no sé lo que es el destino. Caminando fui lo que fui. Ay, adiós, que será divino. Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como viví.
He recibido muchas muestras de apoyo, de solidaridad de ustedes. Les quiero desaforadamente. Muchísimas gracias, amigas y amigos.
Yo quiero seguir jugando a lo perdido. Yo quiero ser a la zurda más que diestro. Yo quiero hacer un congreso del unido. Yo quiero rezar a fondo un hijo nuestro. Dirán que pasó de moda la locura. Dirán que la gente es mala y no merece. Mas yo partiré soñando travesuras. ¿Acaso multiplicar panes y peces? Yo no sé lo que es el destino. Caminando fui lo que fui. Ay, adiós, que será divino. Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como viví.
En las circunstancias actuales, lo más importante es luchar por la transformación del país.
Dicen que me arrastrarán por sobre rocas cuando la revolución se venga abajo, que machacarán mis manos y mi boca, que me arrancarán los ojos y el badajo. ¿Será que la necedad parió conmigo? La necedad de lo que hoy resulta necio, la necedad de asumir al enemigo, la necedad de vivir sin tener precio. Yo no sé lo que es el destino. Caminando fui lo que fui. Ay, adiós, que será divino. Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como viví. Yo me muero como viví.
La verdadera felicidad es darle la mano. Darle la mano al que se ha quedado atrás para que se empareje y que caminemos todos juntos.
Yo me muero como viví.
El autor viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán. Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
Testing. Oh man, I don't know if you guys heard static. Oh shoot, much of my stuff is here. Hold on, family. It's funny. I don't know why that moved on me, but personal notes and shit. It's all good. Anyhow, sorry about that. I started off a little awkward. My bad, fam. All right, so hope y'all doing well. All right, so you guys see the title. Hope that makes sense. All right, you guys see the title. I hope that makes sense. Please make sure that you take some notes, family. It's gonna be good. Hopefully, Lord willing, it should be. How you doing, brother? What up, Jeremias? Buenos dias. Hold up. Let me see. What's up with that? All right. Good morning. Yes, sir. Well, you know, it's one of those things. We have an inside joke here. Buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenos dias. You know what I mean? Hope y'all doing well. Let's see who we got. I think there was more people, but apparently it's just the way things are here. Check this out. Before I get into the class, I wanna mention some things here, okay? This is the bottom line with these people, okay? This is the straight bottom line with these people here. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, you're gonna hear the tonality, and I want you to pay attention. A lot of people, they when they mention Nazis, you know, they think it's a joke, right? You guys think it's a joke. If you look at history, okay, and how it also happened, these fools wanted nationalism with Christianity within their country, so-called, all right? And then, after that, they expanded. Their goal was to expand to vast territories. Do you guys understand that? Okay? So let's listen to this, and I'm going to show you some pictures real quick.
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do. So that leverage remains, that leverage is ongoing, and we expect that it's going to lead to results here. We're hopeful that it does, positive results for the people of Venezuela, but ultimately, most importantly for us, in the national interest of the United States. We will no longer have, hopefully, as we move forward here, we'll set the conditions so that we no longer have in our hemisphere a Venezuela that's the crossroads for many of our adversaries around the world, including Iran and Hezbollah, is no longer sending us drug gangs, is no longer sending us drug boats, is no longer a narco-trafficking paradise for all those drugs coming out of Colombia to go in through the Caribbean and towards the United States. And obviously, we want a better future for the people of Venezuela. We want them to have an
really big. You can hear in that tone, supposedly, a better future for Venezuela. What up, brother? Remember how Nazi shit started, fam? So this is, again, these are just stupid ass individuals with big mouths, but they won't do it themselves. Okay? I guarantee you that these, zip it, Claudia, you're next, right? Because Shane Brown didn't agree with that. So you're next. Okay, now check this. Another post after this invasion, because that's what it is. This incredible thing last night. We have to do it again in other countries. We can do it again too. Nobody can stop us. I don't know if you cracker barrels are paying attention to your stupid ass talks, bro, but you guys are basically sounding like Nazis, and those fuckers got destroyed. And this ain't 1492 anymore, nor is it 1823. For some reason, you guys are really being brainwashed. But I want to tell you, fam, this is Nazi fucking talk. Okay? Because that's technically, if you compare it to that history, that's exactly how they talk, what they were saying. Look, I'm gonna do a class on this subject. I was gonna do it today or yesterday, but I couldn't. And I didn't do it today was because I've been trying to get this class done. Okay? Maybe, and I was like, it's significant, but with considering what's going on right now, I think it would be important for me to bring up facts because let me see what the brother said here. He goes, I wonder why BHI isn't covering illegal invasion of Venezuela. It's because they don't know none about that shit. No, do they care? I've shared that info, what was gonna occur from President Petro from Colombia since 2023 early, bro. Since then. So they have no idea. I've been basically mentioning politics from here and from over there since I started this channel, actually late 2022. I started bringing up more of that information. But anyways, enough of that. I will get into a class on that. Now, you guys do remember that I had taken y'all through a series. I'm not officially done on this. It appears in 25 volumes. Hold on, I'm not going to replay this. But I started with this here. Right. I started a series like that, and we got to, I believe, page 2, right? So the hidden secret. Right? Then we went to Hidden Secret Part 2. Now, the reason I wanted to do this thumbnail and not continue that was I wanted to separate it from that, within that Hidden Secret. I guess you could say 3 series because I probably only have one more left on that to finish it off. Because this is also as important. So, our history doesn't necessarily start there, even though a lot of you guys want to base it off of that, then jump on science and jump off science. I don't do that in this channel, you know what I mean? I've been connecting the dots for our people with historical facts, English and Spanish material, right? And biblical comparables. And so far, we're here. Now, I've shared this with you guys before, but gosh darn it, man. I think we should hear it again because, you know what I mean? This is not a, especially right now in these times. Especially right now in these times, you must know what you may possibly be. That's really it. And I know before you can be anything else, you got to find out who you are, like indigenous way. Like we all started that way. All right, let's go.
Chief Joseph, he was, I believe, probably, other than the Seminole, probably one of the last Native American chiefs to succumb to the U.S. government and surrender. I believe he was taken hostage, it was either Wyoming or Montana territory, almost got to the Canadian line to cross over. Somewhere in that area, they put him back to a fort, they bottled him up, and they decided to put him on a reservation. Well, during all this hubbub return, he, like most chiefs, wore a medicine bag around his neck. It was very, very normal. Nothing real big, but it was around his neck, this little leather pouch. One of the soldiers took that away from him. And inside the bag, there's a lot of stuff, but the one thing that was really unusual, a little 1 inch by 1 inch clay square, and it had lettering on it. And the lettering happened to be cuneiform. Now, cuneiform was in full usage around 3000 BC in the Fertile Crescent. Hittites use it, the Babylonians use it, the Akkadians use it, the Sumerians used it, and the Hebrews knew how to use it because that was the language of the day if you want to do business. So the first question is, what is an Indian in North America doing with a little square cuneiform tablet in his medicine pouch? Well, asking him what this was, and he repeated, "This is something from my ancient ancestors, and that's why I hold it dear." And they asked him, "Can you read it?" And he said, "No." "So you don't know what it says?" He said, "No, I don't know what it says." That cuneiform tablet is at West Point today. You can go there and see it. Now, I've been there twice. First time it was on display. The second time it had been removed. And if you ask for it, and if the curator of the day is in a good mood, he'll let you see it. Sometimes, that happens. They say, "I'm too busy," and they won't pull it out. But they do have it. So it still exists, thank goodness. Now, what's interesting, it was translated. And I don't have the actual translation here to read to you, but it was a bill of sale, or like a receipt, for sheep or goats, or both. And it took place around 2040 BC. And they mentioned Ur. It mentions the Babylonians. I mean, this is wild. And then in 1963, Mrs. Hearn, she's near Columbus, Georgia. I don't remember the exact town she was in. Old lady out doing her garden. And lo and behold, up turns a little square cuneiform tablet. Well, it got passed along to the proper authorities, and it too is a receipt for sheep or goats, and it dates at 2042 BC, cuneiform. All this has been, the transcribing and the interpretation, all done by professional academics in the universities. So how do you explain that? I don't know what to say, but there it is. It's here in North America, and it's not supposed to be here, but yet it's here.
Yes, and that's not something that you or I should ignore. Now, he mentioned Hebrew, 2000 BC, and then he also mentioned okay? Now, in case you guys don't know what means, hold on. Valera, se me hace? In case you guys don't know what meant or means, it means of the Chaldees. Okay? Of the Chaldees. Now, I am going to bring out Bible today because it's significant. Throughout the class, you're going to find out particular things about these particular people that we're going to particularly talk about. Of the Chaldees, right? Now, what does that mean to you? Okay. So, again, there from over there, like lost tribes, okay? But, in his writings, okay, right, regarding the this, like American Indians, Valera vehemently rejected the notion that the American Indians were the descendants of the lost tribe of Israel, a common theory in the 16th century. By the way, I think I made a mistake the other day when I said 1800 and I was mentioning 1840, and it's prior to getting into the 18th. You know, so 17 and then 1720, 1780, 1790, that's the 1800s. 1900s is basically the 1800 years, like what's going on. 20th century, you know what I'm saying? So just forgive me. But in this case here, we're seeing that the common theory was around 15, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. People thought that our gente was the lost tribes. Now, he said, no, you guys are not it. But he, for some awkward reason, in the same breath, put you guys in that particular path. Why? Because it says, few sections that remain of Valera's work on the subject, this is page 96, I believe. He apparently speculated that the people of the Americas originated from the ancient Chaldeans. The ancient Chaldeans, you say? Like, what do you mean the ancient Chaldeans? What are you talking about here? What the hell, bro? That's weird, man. I need to fix this stupid computer, dude. It's acting stupid on me now. Okay. Chaldeans, right? Watch this. This name is in here, right? Regarding Nebuchadnezzar, right? Now, I'm going to show you something. Real quick. We're going to go to the Apocrypha here. And we're going to go into Judith chapter 5. And we're going to go verse 7. Here, these people are inquiring about who these Israelites are. In chapter 5, verse 6 says, Judith 5:6, these people are descendant of the Chaldeans, and they sojourned there too in Mesopotamia, because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea. For they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the God of heaven, the God whom they knew. So they cast him out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. And then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned and go into the land of Canaan, where they dwelt and were increased with gold and silver and very much cattle. Now, who is this talking about? This is talking about basically Abraham. So Abraham left the Ur of the Chaldees. Now, let me take you back then. He apparently speculated that the people of the Americas originated from the ancient Chaldeans, who once lived in the plain of Shinar in the Persian Gulf. The chronicler wrote that the religion of the natives of Greater Florida, right, and the Caribbean islands were derived from the practices of Chaldeans. Why? Because who worship only natural features, such as lakes, springs, and stars. Like, that's what he was saying. He's like, nah, these guys aren't those people, because they're worshiping all these other fucking things, right, as gods. Likewise, he claimed that the faith of the first Peruvians was molded on that of the Chaldeans. Who are those people? Where Abraham came out of. The Chaldeans were renewed in the biblical history for founding the city of Ur. Which is why he's saying, again, the video talks about that, right? How does he find this, a cuneiform piece of rock? Like, what the hell? It's several languages, and then the Hebrews knew about it as well, 2000 BC, and then also regarding Ur. And this native brother said his fathers gave that to him because that's where his fathers were from. From whence came Abraham, the father of the Hebrew nation. They were believed to have descended directly from Noah, and they became famous as learned astrologers, priests, and magicians. By linking the ancient Peruvians to the Chaldeans, Valera was placing the people of the New World into the framework of biblical history. So he's like, nah, those aren't the Israelites. They're from over there. Really? So now, why is this important? Because this history that they told us, it's total fucking BS. Supposedly the white man came by accident and found us uncivilized motherfucking people, brought black folks from the other side of the continent, enslaved all of us and shit, and then now we're hunky-dory. That didn't happen necessarily. And then these same Anglo-Saxons, right? that are sitting at their fucking top of the podium, claiming that we civilized all of you guys, and then they at the same breath they say, "Fuck these Jews." It's like, wait, hold on. You know, on my channel, man, I like to bring facts to the table, right? So we're going to dissect as to who exactly was this Cristobal Colon, and what was he? And I'm gonna tell you this, fam. It don't matter if he was a Spaniard. It don't matter if he was an Italian or a British. The motherfucker was a Jew, a so-called, self-proclaimed, by the way. And we're gonna prove that. We're gonna get into it. So this is why now that I hear these like Europeanish, British-looking Spaniards of today, in a way saying, "No, you know, we didn't do nothing that bad," in the same breath being as fucking racist as hell, you also don't realize that it wasn't really necessarily you that had much to do with the initial invasion of 1492. So let's begin.
Mire, aquella España solo merece agradecimiento por aliarse con los bravos transaltecas para derrocar a una tiranía que practicaba el canibalismo, por construir
So here they say, oh, they destroyed us and other people met with us because we were cannibals. The same theory. Now, I would like to say that there are books written about so-called Jews, self-proclaimed, that they were doing shit like that. That's why they were getting expelled from other countries. Okay? So I can seriously say that shit, and there's factual documentation. What you guys have is just pictures and assumptions, but let's continue.
Por construir universidades en el páramo y hospitales en la selva, por ser el primer imperio en discutir su propia legitimidad, por promulgar leyes que reconocían derechos a los indígenas y prohibían la esclavitud, por promover el mestizaje, no la segregación, por forjar, sí, la hispanidad, una impresionante comunidad cultural, lingüística y moral, pero no, señorías, la responsabilidad es individual, no colectiva. La tiene Sheinbaum por su política de abrazos a los narcos, que pida ella perdón a los mexicanos y a la viuda de Carlos Manso. Y la tienen ustedes por blanquear la violencia. Resulta, señorías, que yo tengo que pedir perdón por lo que hizo España hace 500 años. Tenemos que avergonzarnos de Isabel la Católica y aceptar lecciones morales. Acaben ya con esta farsa. Hace 500 años la civilización avanzó en América. Y sigue avanzando.
Well, you know what I mean? It'd be kind of hard to tell. To be quite frank with you, I could say a lot of like negative fucking shit right now about these people, but for the sake of the topic, I'm gonna reserve myself. I'm just gonna let the books talk, basically. Okay. Hey, what up, bro? Good to have you here. Good to have you here, hermano. Let's listen to your video yesterday. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it, man. I'm that's motivation. That's more motivating for me. You know what I mean? Because as you can tell, man, my channel really gets avoided a lot for whatever reason. But it's information that our people should know, bro. And yeah, man, I'd be more than willing to go on your channel and share some stuff about our gente and you know, kind of open up a little bit of just that question, like, well, who are we? Where did we come from? And why are we experiencing these things? I think all of us ask ourselves that question. But yeah, man, thank you, brother. Stick around. And then we'll, matter of fact, dude, I have an email, para que veas. You see that one right down the bottom? It's 144K is woke at Gmail. If you would like, sir, shoot me an email and then we can exchange numbers. I can show you how to use your platform so you can bring people on. It's real easy. Like, it's real easy. But I just take someone to show. I had to learn it like that. I had to ask someone to help me. How does this work? Because it's not that simple, but it's easy to do. And anyways, but stick around, bro. Okay. So good to have you here. All right, so now we got this point across, right? Okay, all right. This sister, I found it, and man, I was so glad that she said what she said. I was so glad that she made this message, bro. I was so happy because, you know, quite frankly, this other one's like, oh, we civilized you guys. No, let's remember the book American Holocaust. The rape, the pillage, the murder, the feeding to dogs, the burning of children, the hanging us by trees, the throwing us overboard, right? No, that dying, that smallpox, like none of that mattered because we civilized you guys. Because supposedly they made us mestizos. Remember, keep in mind, family, we had a variety of skin tone, and the majority of the people that first showed up were not light skinned predominantly; they were dark skinned. So how can dark skinned people make light skinned people? You can't. So this bullshit mestizaje is a total lie. We had people as light as her and as dark as a lot of my brothers. Shit, man, I'm the lightest one in my family. So the BS stories that they tell us has to be destroyed.
You know those European Americans who say things like, you should be grateful for what happened to your people, or we made things better, or that's the past, get over it, or you lost the war, get over it. Well, I am convinced that those people are direct descendants of the very same people who did not think that it was evil and despicable to take disease-infested blankets and give them to other human beings. And you can't convince me otherwise.
That's what I'm saying, bro. You know, she says the descendants, but I'm going to tell you something, family. Brother VTC and I were talking about this the other day. Our gente, we live in cycles, and we keep rehearsing the same shit over and over and over and over. I mean, think about it. Where are we at right now? Think about that. Europeans who did not originate from this continent, so to speak, who weren't here before us, now they claim that this is all theirs. They're bombing in Venezuela, not because of some drug-infested country. That's bullshit, by the way, because the drug-infested country is here. Okay, I'll give you an example. Did you guys know that marijuana, who produces marijuana in the entire world? America, which legalized marijuana, is the number one producer of that drug, which is illegal in other countries. But nobody says shit about that. You know, America has the highest alcohol addiction than any other country in the world. How come they don't block that drug? Mexico's gun, you're not allowed to have a gun, especially a high-powered rifle. How the hell do these cartels get guns from? From North America. It's a cycle consistently. So she's like saying, hey, those people, their descendants, were probably the same ones that were there at that time. Yeah, they were. I truly believe that. So now, since we're talking about Columbus, you know, I always like to debunk funk. I'm going to come back to this video later, but I want to bring this book up after this because, look, this is so beautiful. Two birds, one stone is always the best way to go.
Let's now get into the part that they really don't want you to know. The transatlantic slave trade happened, but not all of us came on ships. Let that sink in and ponder for just a minute. See, Europeans distorted history to make it seem like black people had no global presence before slavery. But the truth of the matter is, we were here before Columbus. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, in the book, They Came Before Columbus, 1976, presents undeniable evidence that
That's why I'm gonna come back to the video. But I wanted to intro with some books because she mentions Christopher Columbus, right? So, you know, I mean, let's just continue for sex and giggles and shit. All right, because I'm gonna debunk this. I'm gonna destroy this real easy later on. Columbus topic is important right now.
Black people were here in Americas long before Europeans. The Olmec colossal heads, massive stone statues found in Mexico, bear distinct African features that are undeniable. West African manuscripts inscriptions have been found in pre-Columbian sites. The truth, we had maritime knowledge. We navigated the Atlantic before Columbus ever fumbled his way over here. Let's talk about Mali. If you don't know about Mali, you need to read Babylon to Timbuktu. Abu Bakr.
Realize which books she's mentioned. Timbuktu. She's mentioned Ivan Sertima. Again, Columbus is the topic.
The second, the Malian emperor led a fleet across the Atlantic in the 14th century, a century before Columbus even set sail. He understood ocean currents and used that knowledge to reach the Americas. Genetic and linguistic research links the Caribbean and the Mesoamerican populations back to West Africa. So when they tell you we were all brought here on slave ships, that's quite a half-truth. See, the reality is some of us were already here. So why distort history? Because the truth breaks their narrative.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. So, these things, like I tell brothers, like this shouldn't make you mad, bro. It should make you laugh. And like have pity for that mindset, like for real. There is something distorted going on right now in people's minds to really believe this. When there's so many books that you can pick up and just either qualify and quantify it to be truth or verify and realize it's debunkable. You guys know this book, Lost Tribes in the Promised Lands, The Origins of Racism, Ronald Sanders. You guys know this book, okay? So let's dig into this real quick. Let's go to page 94. Okay. Let me see if I can go with, hold on, is it this one? Hold on, let me see real quick. Okay, all right, yeah, let's start here. Let's go here, okay? First page, it says, we're gonna read a little bit, all right? So stick with me. It says, this high sea was most necessary for me. Columbus wrote in his journal, September 23, 1492. September 17 days out after the sea, a month-long stopover in the Canaries. By now, the crew was becoming restless, and there was loud grumbling among them that they would never get back to Spain. Then they encountered few winds blowing back eastward, and on this day, the waters were so becalmed that the sailors claimed the sea simply was not high enough to bring them home again. But then waves rose dramatically without even a wind, so that everyone was astonished and silenced for a time being. This is when Columbus made the entry just quoted, adding that nothing like this had ever been seen, save in the time when the Jews went out of Egypt and complained against Moses, who had brought them out of captivity. Watch. This is where it gets interesting. We do not know much concerning Columbus' crew of about 90 men aboard the three ships. Total BS, because we've been showing documentation. These fuckers knew who was where, who spoke what. They knew. They brought physicians, doctors. They knew. The majority were basically either mostly conversals. And you know what that is, right? Now, it says here, but at least one of them was an Israelite whose presence as such was not merely accidental. Why do you think he says that? Not merely accidental. A Hebrew, an Israelite. Not by coincidence. Not just because, hey, he happened to be a so-called Israelite, which we know a lot of these fools were converts, right? I mean, we go back to history, like going into the Iberian Peninsula, North Africa, all the invasions of Arabs, North Africans, Europeans. A lot of these people started choosing to, religions and shit. A lot of these quote-unquote Sephardic Jews are not necessarily Jews. If you do a bloodline on them, you can tell right away. Because if they were truly Jews, why the hell would you be living in Europe all these years? Why don't you go back home? You know what I mean? Why not? The Bible constantly talks about that shit. Not like in 1948. How come you didn't do it before? When you had all that power from 700 to 11, 12, 13 AD. Because you and the Arabs were working together. You know what I'm saying? Why not go back? But anyhow, this was Luis de Torres, this particular person who was not by accident a so-called Israelite because he spoke several languages. This was Luis de Torres, a convert of possibly only that year, conversal. You see, what she was a so-called Jew, then became a Christian, who had once held a position with the government of Murcia. He was said to have known Hebrew, Aramaic, and some Arabic, and had been brought along by Columbus specifically as an interpreter. One of the purposes of the voyages, as we have seen, was to find the Great Khan, and Taurus was to be the the mouthpiece for this encounter, presumably on the basis of his Hebrew. Perhaps Columbus and his supporters, had decided that the Great Khan reported on by Marco Polo and others might be the Israelite king who dwelt across the river from Preston John. So if you read this book, you'll find out where this story comes from and where it ends up leading to nothing. You know, there was a lot of novels back in those days. Okay, a lot of wishful thinking. You know what I'm saying? Now it says land was sighted at last on the night of October 11th. Now we're going back to being on the boat. And on the morning, which was Friday, the Spaniards reached the island that they subsequently called San Salvador in the Bahamas. Watch this. They saw nude men, and some of them set out for shore in armed boats. The boats bearing Columbus and two of his captains holding the banner of Spain preceded the rest. When they landed, they stepped ashore and stayed close to the boats, solemnly proclaimed possession of the island in the name of the king and queen, right? The no doubt astonished islanders gathered around, and Columbus writes of his historic encounter, in order that they might regard us with great friendship, because I perceived that they were a people who would be better delivered and converted to our holy faith by love than by force. He will remember the interpreter. He knew that it wasn't accidental that they would speak Hebrew or Arabic or Aramaic. I got another book showing up that they confirmed where they fucking spoke to us in Hebrew. So these things that they are not debunking is what actually occurred. So he's like, oh, they speak okay, let's not submit them, but something can happen. Gave some of them a few red caps and glass beads, which they hung around their necks, and many other things a little value, which gave them a great deal of pleasure, and so won them over to trust that it was a marble. Okay? So now, let's continue going forward. He says, Columbus was in latitude of the Canaries, and it was clearly the Aboriginal people of those islands who were now providing his mind in the worldly model by which to perceive the islanders from in front of him. There is a touch of Boccaccio, Canaries, in his ensuing description. They came swimming on the ship boats where they were now, bringing us parrots and clues of cotton threads, as well as spears and many other things, and we took them in exchange for other things we gave them, like small glass beads and hawk bells. In short, they gave as they received, all with the utmost pleasure. Okay? All right? So now, but they seem to be a people very poor in respect. They all go about naked as when their mothers bore them. The women too, apparently, although all I saw of them was one very young girl. I only saw young men, none of whom seemed more than 30 years old. They were very well formed, with very handsome bodies and very fine faces. Their hair was slick and rough, almost like that of a horse's tail. Are you gonna say that y'all had long fucking like goat's head like David and Solomon from the Bible? You never really bring that up. But anyhow, let's continue. Okay, we're touching on a couple things here. And they wore it down to the top of their eyebrows, except for a little on the back, which they let grow long and never cut it. Some of them paint themselves a Saudi color, though they are in fact the color of the Canarians, neither black nor white. Some paint themselves white, some red, some whatever color they can find. Some paint their faces, some the whole body, some only the eyes, and some only the nose. They do not carry arms or even know what they are. We show them the swords, and they grab them by the blades and cut themselves in their ignorance. All right, so we see this here. Now, watch this. Watch what it says next. Yes, for sure. That's Indio hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? Like, let's be realistic here, man. Come on. You know what I'm saying? Let's be realistic here. Now it says here, going back to Columbus, as he contemplated these people Was Columbus perhaps recalling the peaceable multitude who greeted Ezra's man from the sea? And you're like, what? What do you mean by that? Great. This is what he's referring to. 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 1. Here it says that, here I'll read it. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed the dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man walked strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. Okay? So this is an image of this, I'll say it like this, the return of a powerful spirit. Okay? Now, it says here, in verse 5, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of a number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. So then now, he's about to fight these people. Okay? And then we go, let's see. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can, I think it's 13. There he goes. So then, he's about to battle with these people, but let's skip this for the sake of time. Here it says on verse 12, afterwards saw I the same man come down from the mountains and call unto him another peaceable multitude. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, some of them were bound, and some brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I waked and said. So he sees a vision, but this is what he's referring to. This is what Ezra. So why would Columbus all of a sudden reference Ezra? If Columbus was a so-called Christian, that had nothing to do with Judaism. You see what I'm saying? Now let's continue reading. The reason I shared all of this with you, okay, it's because of this too. So now we keep reading. Now check this out. They practice no kind of idolatry, but have a firm belief that all strength and power, and indeed all good things, are in heaven, and that I had descended from there with these ships and sailors, and it was under this impression that I was received after they had cast aside their fears. There had been rumors and indications among the people encountered of other natives of the islands who were fierce and warlike and who ate human flesh, but none of them appeared in the persons on this first voyage. He says, I did not find, Christopher writes, any bestial men among them, as some of us had expected, because again, Columbus had traveled all around Africa, right? But on the contrary, men of great difference and kindness. Watch this. On the onset of warlike multitude was for another day. Neither are they black like the Ethiopians. Neither are they black like the Ethiopians. Let me say that one more time. Neither are they black like the Ethiopians. We just read earlier that we have long hair, like goat's hair, or horse's tail. It says their hair is smooth and straight. Smooth and straight. That's not hair bought from India. You understand? Like you're born with straight hair and no mixture of no other race. Like this is who you guys technically are. So you guys had light skin and straight hair. The hair is smooth and straight, for they do not dwell where the rays of the sun strikes most vividly. This clearly was meant as a assurance to anyone who felt, as he did, that black men tended to be more barbarous than whites of any condition. Columbus returned home in 1493 thinking that Cuba was part of the Asian mainland. While there, he had even sent Luis de Torres on an expedition to find the Great Khan. But he nevertheless clearly felt himself to be closer to the region that Ailla and some others had gone on, referring to the Fortunate Island. See this in the sprites of the Canaries than to the Ethiopian any sense of term. He had come to the part of the world where east meets west, but his approach to it was westward, and so was his vision of it. Do you see this clearly? Is this confusing? Let me continue. Page 95, and by him and by his successors, between the black men of the old world and the most of the tawny men of the new. Are we watching this here clearly? This is from what Christopher Columbus saw. Where do you guys get this idea that he saw black people? Where? It's I mean, shoot, man. Let me show you this real quick. And I posted this the other day. Oh, and by the way, YouTube doesn't let me post shit now. I guess they don't like my post. For whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason. So check this out. This is from Modelos, something about whatever. I don't know. I think it's French. Okay. So it's original embossed board with title to front, original silk ties. It's from 1862. Okay. What do you see, family? Right? Different races. 1862. This man was born in 1792. Asia. Oceania. Like islanders, I think. Who is this? America. Right? What is that? Is that what you're saying? You look like that? Oh, they did the same to you, bro? Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't like it. So look at this. America. And who is this? Europe. Right? And who is this? Africa. What are we confusing ourselves about? He goes, the people of Asia. Okay? Variety of features from this all the way to this. Okay? And then the people of where? America. Oh, my bad. Look. From the top, let's say like all the way up north to central, possibly south. America. Okay? Asia. Again, another region of Asia, because Asia's vast. It's not just like China or Japan. And then what do we have here? Islanders. You know, like Samoa or maybe the Philippines, maybe, you know what I mean? Like Oceania, like where it all ends up in. And then what is this? Africa. You see, I was kind of blown away by the features up here. But you can say east, north, south, central. This is in 1862. Europe, another region of Europe. You see the British. You see the Khazars, the Russians, the Ashkenaz, whatever, right? Why are y'all making it complicated for your own kids? Like, look, even Europeans look Asians and shit. Why? Because it's a vast area. I mean, his book is expensive. You could just see that. I'm going to show this to you. I had been bringing this information up for quite some time. And now we have some video at least to prove it. Let's go.
You have to go look at who owned the slave ships. And guys, people, they'll do everything they can to tell you it wasn't Jews owning the slave ships. It was Jews owning the slave ships. I've checked. I've looked through the logs, not just the conspiracy stuff. Go look at slave ship logs that are available. Go look at the registrations on the ships. Go look at who was in control of the ports: Charleston, South Carolina, New Orleans, and St. Augustine. Those were the big three. And that's where most of the slaves were coming in. The Southern plantation slaveholding culture was not a Christian, white, Southern United States thing. It was a Caribbean, Jewish way of life.
Caribbean Jewish way of life. In case you don't know this, prior to 1492, the so-called Sephardic Jews, self-proclaimed Talmudic practitioners as well at that time, okay, they were the number one pushers of the slave trade, predominantly Portuguese, okay? So let's hear it one more time. This needs to stick in your ear.
You have to go look at who owned the slave ships. And guys, people, they'll do everything they can to tell you it wasn't Jews owning the slave ships. It was Jews owning the slave ships. I've checked. I've looked through the logs, not just the conspiracy stuff. Go look at slave ship logs that are available. Go look at the registrations on the ships. Go look at who was in control of the ports: Charleston, South Carolina, New Orleans, and St. Augustine. Those were the big three. And that's where most of the slaves were coming in. The Southern plantation slaveholding culture was not a Christian, white, Southern United States thing. It was a Caribbean, Jewish way of life.
And so it was. Next book. The other 1492. Like, the fucking nerve of them. Really? The other 1492? You guys finance 1492. Is page 2 not written? Did I not catch it? Well, okay, I'll do it again. Hold on. Shit. Gosh darn it. Hold on, family, hold on. All right, hold on. Let me put it back up here. Sheesh. Okay. I think this is a better picture. Yeah, better picture. All right. So on this book, in page 2 of the other 1492. Remember, keep in mind what we're trying to do here. I'm trying to explain to y'all that this whole, Christopher Columbus being a Christian, and whether he's Spaniard or not, Italian, Portuguese, it doesn't matter. He was what he was. And they know that shit. They know that. Page 2, it says, there are some scholars who suggest that Columbus himself may have had Jewish roots. Whether this is true or not, there is no doubt that Columbus knew many Jews and that his celebrated voyage was made possible by their contribution and efforts. The noted astronomer Abraham Zacuto designed the astronomical charts that assured Columbus a safe voyage. Now, how did he know? Instinctively. And by the way, he literally put him right at the island, even though he was reaching Asia. Important Jewish map makers like Kreska brothers were much sought after by other explorers of the time. Among the ship's crews were at least 3 Jews, including, once again, Luis de Torres, the interpreter. Now, why is this important? Because I'm going to show you. He continues to be mentioned. And then there's a book, and I should share it after this and then come back to these more. And come back to this because I think it's important to kind of glue it together, okay? And I'm going to touch it right after this. He became the first European, watch this, at least 3 Jews, including Luis de Torres, the interpreter. He became the first European to set foot upon the soil of the New World because of his knowledge of Hebrew and Arabic. Languages Columbus thought, no, Columbus knew for a fact that the natives of the Indies would probably speak. It wasn't by chance, fam. He knew. Okay? Now, page... So, hold on. As a matter of fact, let me do this so I don't forget. So So now, why do I say that with conviction? Okay, I'm gonna show you. Because again, like the ego is so powerful. Like the ego won't let you let go of like even the atrocities that you shouldn't be talking about, right? Like it won't let it go. So here's their ego expressing itself. Jews, God, and history. 1.5 million copies in print. Like this guy, he's well known. He's well known for them. Okay. In his book, watch what it says. Page 371, confirming once more that I'm not kidding. And this wasn't by coincidence. They didn't just show up because supposedly they didn't know where they were going, family. They knew exactly who we were, where we were, and what they wanted and what we had. Jewish history in America begins with the expulsion of the Jews from Spain in the same year and month that Columbus set sail in his first voyage in search of a trade route to India, supposedly. Jews served on board his small flotilla as able-bodied seamen, map readers, interpreters, and surgeons. Didn't we just read the other book, the Promised Lands, that said, oh, we didn't really know what? Yeah, I knew. Anyways, as a footnote to history, listen to this. As a footnote to history, okay? Meaning like, of all the things you've learned about in history, I want you to take a side note on this and never forget it. We must record, listen, as a footnote to history, we must record the fact, the 100% fact that you natives were spoken to in a certain language. And this is why these wobbles, FBAs, BHIs want your shit. It ain't your feathers, fam. They wish to be those people that you have no idea that you are. No clue. You have no idea that you are those people. Why? Because you've been bombarded with so much negativity of yourself that your self-esteem can't even come to the conclusion that God may just fucking care about you. Like that's how broken we are. We must record the fact that the Indians on the Caribbean island where the flotilla first landed were greeted in Hebrew and Arabic by Luis de Torres, a Jewish interpreter aboard the flagship. For Columbus was certain the natives spoke either Hebrew or Arabic. Now, do they say, no, it didn't happen? No, on the contrary, it was de Torres, incidentally, by communicating with us, right? Who discovered maize and brought it to Europe. Where with the potato, it enriched the diet of the Western man. Now, you wobbles, how come you guys never fucking even know about how to make anything with corn? Do you know you can make a lot of drinks out of corn? Lots of different foods out of corn? Lots of different colors out of corn? Did we steal this? Did we stole this diet from you and then made it better? How so? If you say you're better than everybody. But let's go back here. Because again, I don't want you to forget about this, family. As a footnote to history, your history, their history, regardless of what fucking history they want to ignore, you must put this as a footnote. And who right now, or let's say this, who is to be blamed, supposedly has all the power in the media, on TV, newsletters, you know what I'm saying? They do. So you see what I mean by the ego? This is how they remind themselves who they are and who you are. As a footnote to history, we must record the fact that the Indians and Caribbean islands where the flotilla first landed were greeted in Hebrew and spoken in Hebrew. And by Luis de Torres, a Jewish interpreter, aboard the flagship. Why? For Columbus was certain, for a fact, without a doubt, 100% certain that the natives spoke Hebrew here. Hold on a second, fam. Hold on.
MESHIACHA.
¡Viva México, cabrones!
You need to stop lying to yourselves, man. You need to stop lying. Whatever you've done in your past, in your life and shit that you feel so bad about, you just got to ask God to forgive you. And you be sincere about it. No reservations whatsoever. Sincere repentance. You come back to your Father. And I guarantee you, man, there's a connection with you and him. All of us do. Especially, why do you think I have this information? Why? Because I'm some fucking agent that went to, I didn't even fucking, come on, fam. I had a like 0.94 GPA. I was 10 credits away from fucking graduating. I actually am, even though, you know, I'm not a loser, so to speak, but I'm actively engaging in getting my GED just for self-assurance, I don't know, self-belief, whatever that is. It was something that I left behind. I want to fix it now. So this is not something that I just created. When I turned 40, bam, all of this was broke. I was just awake. As if I almost if I knew all this shit. Then, okay, so now let's go back to this. Okay, let me not forget the point here. The other 1492. Okay, so watch this. Again, we're connecting a couple dots, trying to remind you that this man didn't just show up here by chance or because supposedly he didn't know where he was going. He knew specifically where he was going. He used the Bible specifically to know who you were. And this is what they want. This is what they want, fam. Canaan, you had your chance. You had your chance. Way back over there. But you motherfuckers didn't change, did you? Nah. You created all these religions that people are practicing currently right now. Let's continue. The government of the U.S. gives to bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance. George Washington to the Jewish citizens of Newport. The expulsion from Spain in 1492 was but of many tragedies to befall the Jewish people, yet the memory of that disaster scarred the Jewish mind forever. In spite of the sadness and personal anguish of that event, one direct positive outcome was the eventual establishment of the first thriving Jewish communities in the U.S. How so? From the original 23 in 1654, the number of the Jews in the U.S. today stand at 6 million, the largest Jewish population of any country in the world, including Israel. The number claiming Sephardic ancestry is quite small. The majority of the Jews in the U.S. today trace their ancestry to the two major waves of immigration that began in 1848 and 1881. Mainly from where? Russia, Poland, and other East European countries. So these are supposedly Jews. Europeans. It's the same people that are in the Arab world calling everybody around them Arabs. But you're not? I mean, you're from there. Wouldn't you at least resonate with the Persian family? Because Abraham traveled in those regions. Why the fuck do you not call yourself like those people? Nah, because you ain't. But let's continue. It says here, yet the presence and success of the proud Jewish population in America must be credited to the bravery, devotion, and perhaps luck of the original Jewish settlers of Spain and Portuguese heritage. You see that right there? Spain and Portuguese heritage. Let me skip down. The arrival of those first Sephardic Jews in the New World appears to be only a fortunate accident of history. So the first people that showed up here were Sephardics. Okay? Just remember that. Let me skip it more. Although they were practicing Christians, behind closed doors, they observed certain customs and traditions that could only have come from the Jewish religion. They were direct descendants of the Marranos, Jews who converted to Catholicism 500 years earlier. You see? You see this right here. So all of the people that came with the so-called Christians, claiming to be Christians, killing you in the name of Jesus or God or whatever, Christianity, you know that they were basically making fun of the Christian religion at the expense of your life. Which is horrible to say the least. Because if you think about Christopher Columbus, like, what do you mean? Check this out. I think I have it here. Where are you? Christopher Columbus, Promised Lands. What's this, page 59? No, not that. Hold on a second, fam. Where are you at? Did I not take a picture? Hold on, I thought I took a picture of it, man. All right, hold on. Now, this same individual, this self-proclaimed Sephardic Jew or Sephardic Jew in secret, right, claiming to be converso, he also brought with him something. Okay, he brought with him people and something else. This is from the Dogs of Conquest, page 3. European dogs were introduced into the New World by Christopher Columbus. Do you understand that? He knew who you were. He spoke to you in Hebrew. He also had intent to do something to you. There you go, crypto Jews. He, as well as others, as well as other Europeans, as well as so-called Africans, okay, brought dogs with them. When he planned his first venture across the profound waters of the ocean to what he felt would be the fringe of Cathay, he had no reason to clutter the already crowded deck of his little vessels with animals. He was primarily a mariner with the dreams of exploration and not exploitation, supposedly. And underlying these dreams was the firm messianic purpose of carrying Christianity to far reaches of the heathenism.
That's gonna hurt!
But see, now that we understand what this is about, you can't fall for this bullshit no more. He wasn't pushing Christianity, family. They brought Christianity to dominate your mind. They gave you the Virgin Mary to flip your script. They're the ones that created Juan Diego. That shit never happened, fam. Sumarraga, the bishop who was in total control of a lot of our gente, gave you that because he or his previous predecessors were worshipers of the Immaculate Conception, which at that time was not even part of the mainstream Christianity teaching. There was just some side guys worshiping this virgin chick. And they gave you that because we have this ideology of Mother Earth. That's why when you hear the story of Da Llorona, she's crying, not because she killed her kids, she's crying because her kids are dying. They're getting destroyed. That's what the weeping woman from 2nd Ezra is part of, which is all of you. The curses are just the icing, what do you call it? The icing on the cake, fam. Seriously. Like, that's the obvious. It's the other things that really express who you are. Now it says here, let's see, hold on a second. First Columbus, drinks, exploration, exploitation, and underlying whatever Christianity. Okay. As his patron and namesake, Saint Christopher had borne the Christ child across a raging river, Columbus would bring news of the faith to the godless West. You see this shit? And he had not anticipated the invasion of a strange world where dogs might be needed. Stopping at Gomera in his first voyage on September 2, 1492, Columbus came briefly under the spell of a beautiful Beatriz de Bodilla, whose relations were intimate with many associated with the use of dogs of conquest. Doña Beatriz naturally would have found the blue-eyed and fair-haired Genosue attractive, though he as yet was not a man of proven significance. But suspicions of a brief affair between the two must rest on the known moral laxity of the lady and on the casual statement of Columbus' boyhood friend Michel de Cunha that the admiral was tinto de amor, tinged with love, just a little bit in love with her. Whatever. The point being is what? This bastard, on his second voyage, was the ones that brought these dogs. Check this out. Let me see if I can find this here. And again, fam, take these notes. Take notes. Write down the books. Try to search them later. Because you want to confirm everything that we're sharing with you today. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to fall for any BS. Let's see. Check this out. This is from Christopher Columbus and the participation of the Jews. Okay? Book 1894 by Dr. M.K. Singler. We're going to go to page 41 in this one. Let's continue. It says here, the Columbus' first appearance at the Spanish court, the Junta de Cordoba, yada, yada, yada. Okay? It says the ambitious plans which Ferdinand and Isabella energetically strove to realize was to establish a great kingdom, strengthened by political and religious unity, meaning Spain and Portugal. They desired, above all, to bring on an end to the dominion of the Moors in Spain and to expel the Mohammedans from the peninsula. Okay, this is regarding 1411 through 1492. I'm sorry, 711 AD through 1492 AD. When Columbus came to Spain, the war with the Moors had already begun. You see that? When Columbus came to Spain, the war with the Moors had already begun. The systematic confiscation of the property of the great secret Jews had been condemned by the Inquisition, brought enormous sums of money into the state of treasury, and furnished Ferdinand and Isabella with means to continue the war. The victorious Spanish troops had already pressed forward, and captured Sahara Ronda, which had long been called the Jews' town, de los judíos. It says, after the close of the campaign of 1485 that the king and queen had first informed Columbus' presence in Spain and on his project of coming here. So here we see the name Cristobal Colon, right? Who had come from Portugal, who asserted that he could undoubtedly find a new ocean a route to India. Okay? Let's continue. Blah, blah, blah. All right, now, next page. 143. I don't want to go long-winded on this one. It says that he asserted that his undertaking was mainly in the interest of the church and that he desired to decimate Christianity in the newly discovered lands, and that with the gold found in the ancient and much renowned Ophir, the Holy Sepulchre could be wrested from the infidels. What? What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? What? Wait. Do you see what we just read? Did you just catch what we just read? He wanted to push the Christian belief, supposedly, discover new lands. And what with the gold found in the ancient and much renowned Ophir, the Holy Scripture could be wrested from the infidels. Let me remind you that they do have an idea of Ophir. I did a class on that, by the way. And it actually, believe it or not, here, let me see if I can even get it. Hold on. Map. Here. Let's see if I can get this link. Here is a old antique map from 1575, Arias, Montana. Watch what he says. Now, here we see an identification of Japheth, right? Shem, and Ham, okay? So now, Japheth is in Roman numbers, okay? Shem is in numerical, normal, like numbers, basically. Not Roman numbers, just normal numbers, okay? In Ham, it's alphabetized, all right? So if you see Japheth, you see a lot of these Roman numbers, okay? You see that right there? All right. You see Shem, right? You see a lot of these numbers here. I'm saying a lot of these numbers over here, okay? Like 1 through 8. You see that up here, up there, whatever, okay? And then when you see these letters, right? You can see right here, A, H, C, T, whatever, all that stuff, right? F, G, blah, 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 okay? Right? Remember, keep in mind? Okay. Now, watch this. In America, our land, they put a number 19, a number 20, and number 22. So what does that say to you? When you say anti-Semitic, motherfucker, you better understand exactly who you're calling anti-Semitic. Based on my bloodline, and I've proven it, I'm the only channel that can show you history, Bible, and DNA. I'm of Shem. You're of Shem. Because my ass didn't get here alone. My parents didn't come here by themselves. We sure as hell weren't on them fucking ships. Okay? Here's the interesting part. What is 19? Because we see that, letters are also numbers. Names come with letters and numbers and shit, right? You see Gomor or Magog and all this stuff, whatever, right? Elisa, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So now we go to 19. What the hell is 19, fam? It's going to blow your mind. 19 is what? Ophir. The land of Ophir. The land of a wedged tongue, like a wedged tongue. This is where they came to get the gold. Why? Because as you can see, like right now in Venezuela, they have the most gold in the entire world. They have the most oil in the entire world, right? There's a lot of gold here as well. There's a lot of silver. Number one silver producer is Mexico. This was considered to them the land of Ophir. Do you understand now why this is important to know your history? Do you understand now why it's important to understand that these bastards didn't just show up by coincidence? And yes, I'm going to call them that. Because of my gente, a lot of our people suffered. And they don't want us to remember. This doesn't matter. This matters to me. And it should matter to you. Because it should matter to your children. Let's listen to it again.
You have to go look at who owned the slave ships. And guys, people, they'll do everything they can to tell you it wasn't Jews owning the slave ships. It was Jews owning the slave ships. I've checked. I've looked through the logs, not just the conspiracy stuff. Go look at slave ship logs that are available. Go look at the registrations on the ships. Go look at who was in control of the ports: Charleston, South Carolina, New Orleans, and St. Augustine. Those were the big three. And that's where most of the slaves were coming in. The southern plantation slave-holding culture was not a Christian, white, southern United States thing. It was a Caribbean, Jewish way of life.
Well, why are we so important? Yeah, I have a book that says Chile is the land of Ophir. Oh, bro. Nice. Sure. What up, brother? What up? Good to have you here. Text it to me, man. Text me the name of the book or send me the picture of it. Maybe I'll show it today. Or I can always show it in another class. But that's very good, bro. So now let's move on to this other particular book here. Just to remind you, family, that like, listen, this is not by coincidence. You're who you are is very valuable to people. That's why they want to minimize you. They want to make you like you're nothing. You're just an illegal immigrant. That means nothing. They civilize you. They want to keep you in that spirit. They want to keep you in that mindset. And you got to rip that spirit away from you. You are more than what you've been told, fam. You are more valuable than what you've been told. This is from La Participación Judía en el Descubrimiento de América. Los originarios judíos de Cristóbal Colón. Watch this. And I'm going to read in Spanish, so in case you guys don't know, this is a Spanglish channel. Have somebody translate you, or, just record it and then try to use an app that can translate it. All right? It says on page 4, los nobles castellanos, por su propio interés económicos, deseaban como esposo de Isabel, el rey de Inglaterra, el rey de Portugal o el duque de Berry, pero jamás a Fernando de Aragón. Fue finalmente el marano Pedro de Caballería el que en Castillo inclinó la balanza hacia el matrimonio con Fernando, right? So they're like saying why these people had to get married. All right? Let me just continue, because this is basically the history of, their you guys, okay, take a picture of it. You guys can read it. I'm just trying to get to the point. It says here on the bottom, toda esta participación activa de judíos y conversos en la vida de la España de aquellos días, y principalmente su participación en los puestos de poder, nos llevó indudablemente al siguiente planteo. ¿Cómo se entendía que una corte con tanta influencia judeo-ibérica pudo llevar a cabo semejante expulsión de todo el pueblo hebreo, tal como ocurrió en 1492. So it's like, how is it that you that predominantly are so-called Jews would create this expulsion? It wasn't an expulsion, family. It was an invasion. It was an invasion for your resources. you understand that? It wasn't an expulsion. It was an invasion to get your shit. Las presiones políticas y religiosas y económicas sumadas a las envidias, odios y resentimientos que despertaban la gran intervención judía en la corte. So you see these things llegaron a su clímax. Now, let's skip this. Watch this because it gets interesting. Okay? It says here, así, así, la Inquisición encontraba que lo más algo digno continuaba celebrando, decía Inquisición, Shabbat, sábado, whatever. Okay, cool. Let's start right here. Muchos judíos, además, según las palabras de los autoridades de la Inquisición, realizaban proselitismo entre los conversos para inducirlos a retornar a su antigua religión. Finalmente, Finalmente, la respuesta de la Inquisición no se hizo esperar. El día 3 de agosto del año 1492, exactamente el mismo día en que el almirante Cristóbal Colón se despedía del puerto de los Palos de Mujer. En ese mismo día se cumplía el último plazo para la salida de los judíos de España. ¿Coincidencia o no? ¿Sí o no? Right? Is that a coincidence? Watch this. Los judíos y los judeo-conversos que apoyaron al gran almirante estaban convencidos, en muchos casos, de que más allá del océano Atlántico existía un reino cuyos habitantes remontaban sus orígenes a los antiguos hebreos del reino de Israel.
¡Que alguien me explique!
Yo te explico. Es decir, que creían firmemente, escuchen, es decir, que creían firmemente en la existencia de un lugar de la tierra donde seguramente habitarían las tribus perdidas de Israel.
MESHIACHA.
The hell, bro? Come on.
¡Viva México, cabrones!
These are them saying it, family. I'm not saying they are them saying it, admitting it. They knew who the hell you were. Esa convicción estaba sustentada en las interpretaciones de antiguos rabinos, jefes espirituales hebreos y en los comentarios de las viajeros judíos que regresaban de lejanas comunidades. Vicente Arrisco comenta, según el Talmud de Jerusalén, hay israelitas ocultos en un lugar de la tierra donde por especial providencia de Dios una nube los cubre para preservar de los pueblos extraños. Kind of like that movie King Kong, when they land in his island, it's like there's like clouds and then they have to go through the cloud and they finally find it. Esta tierra oculta era la que en realidad se supone que estaba buscando Colón a través de sus proyectos. Esdra, the second Esdras, remember I showed you, el escriba hebreo tuvo una visión en Babilonia a través de la cual imaginó de las 10 tribus de Israel en tierras lejanas. Huh? What? Now keep in mind, he's talking about 2nd Ezra 13, right? Verse 40. It says here, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king. This was in 538 BC, who Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. Verse 45 says, for that country there was a great way to go, namely for a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsarit. That's what he's talking about. Now, what he mentions earlier regarding the whole, según el Talmud, de una nube and all that stuff, right? That's actually explained here in Wisdom of Solomon 12. I'm sorry, no, Wisdom of Solomon 14. It says here, and again, one preparing himself to sail and about to pass through raging waters, called it upon a piece of wood more rotten than the vessels that carry him, meaning that cross. For verily design of gain, gold, devised that, and the workman built it by his skill. But thy providence, O Father, governeth, for thou hast made a way in the sea and a safe pass in the waves. You see this? Showing that thou cannot save from all dangers. Yea, though a man went to sea without art, nevertheless thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom shall be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved. So in this case, watch the example. For in the old time also, when the proud giants perished, the hope of the world governed by thy hand escaped in a vessel, that's, Noah, and left to ages a seed of generation. For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh. Now, righteousness is correction, family. Because this right here, but that which is made with hands is cursed, as well as it, as he that made it. Because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God. So here was we start singing the real ass kicking, where they bring their gods, and like Deuteronomy 28 says, you'll be worshiping them, and that's where the punishment starts. This is pretty much talking about that voyage. Now, what they're referring to is Isaiah, and I don't read the Talmud, so whatever is in the Talmud, I'm sure you guys can try to find it. I could care less what that shit says. Page 6. Let's go back to this. All right. It says, esto acrecentó aún más la búsqueda de aquellas 10 tribus por parte de los judíos. You see this? Here is basically saying, dude, they're admitting it, the participation of the Jews, el descubrimiento. They're saying that, yeah, we knew that you guys were over there. And Christopher Columbus was driven by that, because even his rabbis were saying it in the Talmud. Yo, there's some people over there in the land of Ophir. We got to find them, because that's going to bring riches. Some people are like, oh, they're our brethren. These bastards are like, that's gold, because we're not those people. Meaning them. El libro de Esdras fue escrito en hebreo y en arameo. You see that? That's why when he came, he brought both languages. He didn't know whether we still spoke Hebrew or if we left by the time that the movement to speak Arabic became more prominent. Y todos los autores coinciden en que el profeta hablaba del nuevo mundo. Sabemos, y en esto hay coincidencia general entre los historiadores, que Cristóbal Colón leía a Esdras y a Esías, quien decía, Isaiah 69, porque a mí se me congregaron los habitantes de las islas lejanas, con las naves de Tarshish a la cabeza, para traer a tus hijos de lejos con su oro y plata, por amor del Señor. Y acusa el del Santo de Israel, porque él te glorifica. Isaiah 69. Let's read it real quick in English here. Come on. Hold on a second. Isaiah 60, verse 9. Isaiah 60, verse 9 says this. All right, let's get to it. Surely, here, I'll make it simple. It says here, verse 9, hold on. They are ships coming from distant lands, bringing God's people home. They bring them with silver and gold to honor the name of the Lord, the holy God of Israel, who has made all nations honor his people. So that's what he's referring to. That he also mentions, I think, Isaiah 65. Let me see. Yeah, 65:17. Let me just get to that real quick. He also mentions 65:17, and it says here, the Lord says, I am making a new earth, a new heaven, and the events of the past will be completely forgotten. Well, that's not in 1492. That's what he said. Siendo que Cristóbal Colón era el lector de aquellos libros de la Biblia, no es de extrañar que las interpretaciones rabínicas de las profecías allí contenidas hayan causado un fuerte impacto en la mente del futuro descubridor. Los judíos sefaritas, originarios de España, sabían que si se encontraba la existencia de un estado formado por las 10 tribus de Israel, este saldría en defensa por ellos, pero lógicamente era necesario financiar el proyecto el proyecto que de realizar podía implicar en el futuro la redención política del pueblo hebreo. Este era el pensamiento de los judíos de España.
¡Viva México,
Los judíos ibéricos recordaban siempre las palabras del Deuteronomio, donde leemos, ni estás allá, la Torah, o sea, el Antiguo Testamento, al otro lado del mar, y continúa preguntando, ¿quién pasará por nosotros al otro lado del mar para que nos la traiga y nos la proclame a fin de que las observemos? He's talking about Deuteronomy 30 and 13. Let's go to it real quick. Deuteronomy 30 and 13. It says here, it says, nor is it on the other side of the ocean. Do you not have you do not have to ask, who will go across the ocean and bring it to us so that we may hear it and obey it? Repentance and forgiveness, right? And the way they put it is repentance and forgiveness. That's weird. I never saw that one. Hold on a second. Let me see this real quick. 13, huh? Let me read it in King James. It says, and neither is it, hold on. The choice of life and death, neither is it beyond the sea that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us that we may hear and do it. So, again, I would have to read the entire chapter again, family. But this is the verses that they're technically using. But again, why would they use those verses if you are not those people? La interpretación rabínica del sabio judeo español de Ibn Ezra es el siguiente. La expresión al otro lado del mar significa un lugar distinto, la lejanía, o sea, lo que está más allá del océano grande, es decir, el océano Atlántico. Es por ello que varios cientos de años antes, los judíos de la península ibérica creían que no era descabellado el proyecto colombino. I mean, what shit, man? I could basically stop the class at that point. Hold on a second. I'm going to show you this real quick. Just for the sake of understanding, because a lot of people are going to be like, but those people like those. Hold on, let me show you something, fam. Let's bring this to mind, though, before we all kind of get carried away, like as if they were really those people. No, they're not. All right. This is from, sorry, my bad. It's a book. It's called A New Voice to Italy, Curious Observation on the Several Other Countries, yada, yada, yada. 1739, okay? Man was born in 1650. So he, goes around and kind of is asking about who these people are. All right? So let's touch on this now. And this is where debunk, or I should say, funk gets debunked. When people say, oh, you see, the Jews were black, the Jews were black. No, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. All right, let's continue. Let's read. Page 139. Okay, you can see this is an old book. It's like old from, different time, right? 3 centuries away. It says here. Now, this is his curiosity about him trying to find out who these Jews are. Okay? Like that's the concept here. He's going around asking these Jews who they are. It says here. But this ridiculous to imagine that the Jews, as being Jews, have a particular smell. The Jews at Rome are very poor. Those who are poor are always nasty, and those who are nasty usually stink. Okay? This is the mystery. This also a vulgar error, that the Jews are all black, meaning like dark skin, right? For this is only true of the Portuguese Jews. Now, why so? Solomon Grazel confirms that since 1480, these Portuguese were the first nautical to start the slave trade. And they were already going in Africa, bringing people back and forth. So you guys were mixing with them predominantly. You see what I'm saying? The men were taking the women, not the men. The men were taking the women, the African women. That's why they were dark skinned. So let's continue. Till this also a vulgar error. It says, for this is only true of the Portuguese Jews, who marrying always among one another, beget children like themselves. And consequently, the swartiness of their complexion is entailed upon their whole race, even in the northern regions. Now, keep in mind that when the Portuguese and Spaniards came, they told us they were white. Total bullshit lie. We can understand now. Exactly. So if these Portuguese were messing around with Spaniards, don't you think Spaniards were dark, swarty like them too? So how the fucking dark-skinned people make us light? You see what I'm saying, fam? You're no mestizo. That's total bullshit. This is how they corrupt your mind. By lying to you since they came here. I have seen in the Prague, I'm saying, hold on. But the Jews who are originally of Germany, those, for example, I have seen at Prague, are not blacker than the rest of their countrymen. Though nobody can doubt that those of the Jewish nation though nobody can doubt that those of the Jewish nation are destitute of all authentic tradition, and that as being Jews, they have not, hold on, any particular knowledge, either of the laws or customs of their ancestors or even of the Hebrew language. Meaning the majority of them. I have, however, been willing to take care to satisfy you in asking several of the rabbis in Germany and Italy about what you have desired, and making them read some periods in Hebrew, distinctive to observe how they pronounce it. Without long time here, and entering again in the particularities of your question, I will tell you that I have forgotten nothing, and that I have drove my curiosity further than yours, having not forgot the diverse doubtful things that are marked in the grammar, or which are results of the different opinions of grammaring. The answer I have then to make you in a few words about this affair is that these Jews have furnished me with nothing that one can draw any use from. And indeed, what could they say to the Christians that the Christians do not already know as well as they, meaning that they're converts? Had they any secret source or immediate revelation? Who are those people that pretend to teach each other? On the contrary, they are a poor sort of creature, so filled with false notions, so conceited of their monstrous ideas, that I would never advise young people to have any commerce with them for fear of receiving from them some ridiculous prejudice. You see this? It's not done yet. He's basically saying that the way that they speak is just like, it differs in every aspect of the way. Putting to question, like, these people aren't really Jews. How is it that they're so far from their own knowledge of who they are? Right? So, again, I kind of find it interesting, family, to be honest with you, when people want to say these particular things about, hold on. Do I have that page? Give me a second. Let me see. Page 213. Hold on. Oh no, I just marked it down. Hold on a second. Page. Oh wait, hold on. That's right. I almost forgot. Hold on. Almost forgot. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see. I'm actually, stick around. I'm gonna debunk a lot of your bullshit stories. You should read Slow Mo Sands on that. It'll probably put that reminder as to who you guys are. Sails of Hope. Is it Sails of Hope? Yep, Sails of Hope. That's the one I was looking for. Hold on a second, family. Let me see if I can get it. So I have this book from Madariaga, and he pretty much gets to the point. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. He doesn't necessarily get to the point. So it's like a long-winded explanation that he believes that this particular Christopher Columbus was, whether Italian or not, he was a Sephardic Jew, supposedly. And that they used the Ezra's book to find lands here. So these Sephardics, as we know, converts, right? Predominantly converts, especially when that whole war between the Iberian Europeans and North Africans, you see a lot of them choosing being Christians, choosing being Sephardics. Matter of fact, if you look up this book called The Lost Tribes of Myth, right, by Alan Godby, or whatever, I think Godby, yeah. He goes into that right there. He explains who the Khazars are, their conversion, right? Shlomo Sand, matter of fact, also gets into the conversion as to how Sephardic supposedly Jews were usually up there. It's like, nah, y'all were mostly Africans and Arabs and shit and Europeans. That's really the fact. But, you know, what are you going to say? People get offended real easy when you make comments like that. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to fucking smooth your ways. You got to grow up and learn the real truth. This is from Sales of Hope. Okay. This is from Sales of Hope. And this is Weisenthal pretty much saying Columbus was. Okay. It says here on page 114. Let me read right here. It says, what's in I say a number of contemporaries describe Columbus as a Genoese, and the preserved letter of the magistrate of the San Giorgio Bank of Genoa addresses Columbus as a most distinguished and most beloved fellow citizen, right? As a sort of bridge between the Spanish and the Italian views, Salvador de Madariaga, in his biography of the Columbus, offers still another view. Madariaga, which I have the book, it's called the Life of Christopher Columbus. It's the most marvelous life of Christopher Columbus, some shit like that, right? In his biography of Columbus offers still another view. Madariaga asserts that the Colombo family were Spanish Jews settled in Genoa. He believed they came to Genoa in the 14th century, having already been converted to Christianity. Their descendants would then have returned to Spain by the way of Portugal about 100 years later. Madariaga musters a number of details in support of his interesting thesis, including the transformation of the name Colon into Colombo and then back to Colon. But his theory fails to answer this important question. So now, this is what he says. Now, let me bring you up to this other book. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can get it. Do I have it? Give me a second, man. Give me a second. Hold on a second. Files. We'll go to, here. Is it this one? Yep. All right, hold on. And let's go here. Is it Weisenthal? That's funny. The ESO. Yeah. For another day, I'll bring that up. Here, let me. Morocco. Here. Jewish parts of Caribbean. I'm looking for something in particular. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it. Hurry up, bro. No. Stop. Give me a moment, family. I'm trying to find this name. Hold on. Okay, I think I got it. Let me get to the. Okay, here we go. Oh, thank God. Here goes right here. It says on the, that's right in front, preface. All right, check this out. It says here, in his works, we present a series of colonial documents, contemporary first-hand accounts, records, portraits, family genealogies, and ethnic DNA test results, which fundamentally challenge the national storyline depicting America's first settlers as white, British, and Christians. We postulate that many of the initial colonists were of Sephardic, Jewish, and Muslim Moorish ancestry. This is why this book is called The Jews and Muslims in British Columbia. This is a history that they don't tell you about. These immigrants, conquistadors, settlers, slavers, rapists, peddlers, you know what I'm saying? Those people, these immigrants served as prominent economic, political, financial, and social positions in all of these original colonies. The evidence in support of this radical new narrative begins with an examination of the British colonial companies regarded in England to bring settlers to North America and exploit the natural reaches believed to be there. Of course, both Spain and France had already made forays in North America, founding St. Augustine and exploring parts of the coastline as far north as Newfoundland, though their activities as foreign powers are given short shrifts in our Anglo-centric version of Birth of America, which is why you get these, the Anglo-Saxons. Because that's two, by the way, Anglo is one tribe of white folks, and Saxon is another tribe of white folks. And then y'all mixed together and became Anglo-Saxons. So technically, you're a mestizo. You're the initial one. What is even less frequently mentioned regarding the Spanish and French settlements and voyages is that many of the colonists and sailors were of Sephardic Jewish and Muslim Moorish descent. Several of those aboard Christopher Columbus' first voyage in 1492, and famously even Columbus Colon himself was a Jew, were of Jewish ancestry. They were Jews or crypto-Jews. Now, one historian of Inquisitional Spain, and biographer of Christopher Columbus, Simon Wiesenthal, notes that throughout the 16th century, the movement of the Marranos in the New World had continued, and that after the expulsion of the Jews and flight of the Marrano element, it was the turn of the Moriscos to serve as scapegoats for the ills of the society. In this case, happened to be, here it goes right here, page 8, okay? So now let's continue. Again, and who is this Wiesenthal? So let's start here. He is believed to have been a descendant, hold on. The man we know as Columbus was in all likelihood of Jewish ancestry. He is believed to have been a descendant of Spain's Jews, the Colon family, who had converted and moved to Genoa following the massacre of 1391. The prominent historian Salvador de Madariaga wrote in an authoritative biography in which he came to this conclusion. And Nazi hunter Simon Wiesenthal, Book of Sails of Hope, which we read, popularized the idea. Among other clues, Wiesenthal drew attention to Columbus' use of Hebrew ciphers in his private correspondence with his son Diego. In a letter to Diego, the Deza, the tutor of Prince Juan, moreover, Columbus wrote, I am the servant of the same Lord who raised up David. Let's continue. The historian speculates that the first Europeans to sight land in 1492 was also Jewish. The sailor Juan Rodrigo Bergamo, called Rodrigo de Taina, left Spain upon the Columbus return and entered the service of Moors in Morocco. See this right here? This is where we get the whole concept of Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean, or the movie Pirates of the Caribbean. That's where they get it from. Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean. We're dealing with crypto Jews, crypto Muslims. You see what I mean, fam? All this story that they gave us, right? And that's why you got wobbles and trying to step up to this channel and shit and actually, come on, bro. Come on, man. Like, please, bro. Come on. Really? Really? Now, let's go to page 170 on this one. Hold on a second. 170 before we lose it. Okay, hold on. 170 and 170. Hold on, let me see. So here's what he sees as the Inquisition, right? Salvador Madariaga argues that Columbus was himself a converso and thus received support from his co-religious in high places. But in spite of Madariaga's painstaking investigation, his thesis is not fully convincing. Even the assumption that Columbus was himself a converso or the descendants of converso does not suffice to explain much massive energetic support. We just read several books that actually prove it. You see what I mean? Like, it's not far-fetched anymore. It's literally like there. Right? Check this out. I'm going to show this to you.
Y no lo digo yo, el máximo historiador israelí, Shlomo Zahn, tiene dos libros fascinantes. The Invention of the Jewish People, el invento del pueblo judío. Y él mismo es házaro, el mismo Shlomo Zahn. Dice, pues esos no son de aquí. Entonces, cuando tú hablas de la ley del retorno, ¿cómo vas a retornar a donde nunca estuviste? Y luego la otra, The Invention of the Land of Israel. Desmonta todo eso. Es decir, Israel ha gobernado con fake news. Todo es fake en Israel. Por ejemplo, Netanyahu no se llama así, Netanyahu. Se llama Mileikovsky.
¿Así?
¿Sí?
Mileikovsky. Es medio... No quiero decirlo. Me voy a escuchar antisemita si lo digo.
Mileikovsky, ¿quién es? Pues es su padre, que era el segundo de a bordo de Jabotinsky, que es de Odessa, y es el que realiza el sionismo revisionista. Lo que pasa es que, mira, vivimos de propaganda, vivimos de intoxicación propagandística. Y eso Israel, nadie lo domina como ellos, hay que reconocerlos. Por eso ellos tienen obsesión por controlar los medios masivos de comunicación y ahora se van sobre todos los influencers, sobre todas las redes sociales. Esa es su nueva... Netanyahu lo acaba de decir.
¿Es verdad que han comprado TikTok?
¿Cómo? La quieren comprar.
La quieren comprar.
A través de Allison. Allison, que es israelí, Hazaro. Ya ves que el que maneja Oracle. Sí, totalmente. No, pero...
Ese tiene que ser un clip para TikTok. Aguántenme.
Now, check this out. He mentioned Shlomo Sands, right? So Shlomo Sands debunks the Khazars and also debunks Sephardics, specifically clearing it up. You can start at page 200. You know, I'm going to show a couple pages and, we'll move on because, again, easily debunkable. The successful spread of Judaism in Maghreb was probably due to the presence of a Phoenician population in the region. Although Carthage was destroyed back in the 2nd century BC, not all of its inhabitants perished. The city was built in as soon as an important commercial port once more, where then did all the Punics, Phoenicians, the African Phoenicians, right? You see what that means? The Semitics. Those are Hermetic bloodlines, man, who populated the coastline go. So several historians, notably the French Marshal Simon, have suggested that a large number of them became Jews, accounting for the distinctive strength of Judaism throughout Africa.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
A conversion, by the way. And it says here, let's see, to help promote mass conversion to Judaism, mass conversion, you see that? Then it says, Marshal Simon suggests that the Philo-Jewish policy of the most sovereign emperors, a dynasty originating in North Africa, might also have contributed to the popularity of Judaization. So-called Sephardic Jews, y'all are converts too. North Africa was one of the outstanding successes in the history of proselytization in the Mediterranean region.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
That's just page 200. I mean, he gets deep into this. He basically clears it up. Like, where the fuck all this shit came from in North Africa, in North Africa as elsewhere, many of the Judaizers remained in a state of semi-conversion, or as they would later be known, heaven worshippers. The New Testament mentions God-fearers, Jews, and proselytes coming to Jerusalem from parts of Libya, about Cyrene, Acts 2, right? Many syncretist sect flourished in various cities, yada, yada, yada. Two of the leading thinkers of early Christianity, Tertullian and later Augustine, were born in Africa. Christians, once again, Christians. So if you guys already knew each other, how in the fuck do you fit Deuteronomy 28 and almost to the T, where it literally says in verse 36, verse 64, right? It says, the Lord shall bring in thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. Okay? Verse 64. You guys always say the first part, but you never say the second part. The Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto another. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy father have known. So that would mean that since you're practicing Christianity today, that you didn't know about that shit even then. But you did. You did. Like even then. 500 AD, 600 AD, 700 AD. This is where it's at. Here, clearly, it tells us here what occurred, how the conversion happened, and why were so-called Sephardics up in Europe or in North Africa. It says here 208, the sad lack of historical testimony about the early formation of Jewish groups in Iberian Peninsula, Wexler argues, forces us to rely on the evolution of their languages. As a philological archaeologist, Wexler skillfully traces linguistic vestiges found in the texts and languages that are still in use today, and concluded that the origin of the Sephardic Jews were extremely heterogeneous and hardly Judean. Most came to Europe from Africa with the Muslim conquest in the early 8th century. 711 AD, by the way, and traces of Judeo-Arabic from the Maghreb, as well as Berber customs, can be found in Judeo-Iberian language and culture. And if the Arab language was a decisive factor from linguistic viewpoint, in culture, religious, and demographic terms, the Berber presence was the most significant. Damn. See, right here. Hardly Judean. I'm not saying it. Shlomo Sands is saying it. And he debunks Khazars too. On page 222 and on. Judaism probably began to germinate in the Iberian Peninsula in the early centuries, like AD, mainly among proselytized Roman soldiers, slaves, merchants. You see this? Later, the heavy-handed treatment of the Visigoth rulers towards Jewish believers and new proselytes, chiefly in the 7th century AD, drove many of them to flee to North Africa. Muslim conquest in Iberia began in 711 AD, which carried out mainly by Berber regiment that may well have included many proselytes. Tyrid, the supreme commander and first Muslim governor of the Iberian Peninsula, was a Berber from Judaized what? Excuse me? What? What? Judaized tribe of Nefuka. Not a real Jew. He reached Spain with 7,000 troops, which soon grew to 25,000. Many local men joined, among them many Jews, says Dinor, drawing his information from Spanish scholars. The Zionist historian reluctantly admits that some of them argued that all the Berbers took part in the Arab conquest in Spain were Judaizers.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
So we're talking about two religions. That's why we see the Jews and the Muslims in British colonial America. You see this? Here we are again. We're at it again, aren't we? The wave of Islamization did not stop the immigration of Jewish beliefs from all over southern Europe and even more from the coast of North Africa. In his important book of the Sephardic Jewry, Itzkar Bar noted immediately that Arabic Spain had become a refuge for Jews. So again, it's not me saying it. Shlomo Sands debunks that. He puts a very good dent into that theory. That's why when you read Italy, what do you call A New Voice to Italy? He also questions that shit. He also questions like, nah, bro, you guys can't even like. What do you mean? Nah, we're not gonna fall for the okie doke anymore. At least not me. You know, you guys, if you don't believe, well, it is what it is. You know, I can't force you to believe anything.
We're specific.
So let's we're almost done, family. Okay, I already promised my wife that I was gonna spend some time with her, man. So I've been a little busy. All right, let's go.
Does the Bible tell Christians that they have to support Israel? If you're going to have a theology about it, shouldn't you know where it is in the Bible? Shouldn't you be fluent in it? No, because it's all fake. It doesn't mean anything. But he says it anyway, and this topic actually matters. So to talk like that, the Bible is crystal clear on Israel. What is Israel as defined by the Bible? But in 2025, what exactly does that correspond to? Is it the modern secular nation state of Israel, the drag queen story hour in Tel Aviv state of Israel, and what borders? Does that include the West Bank, Judea and Samaria? Does that include Gaza? Does that go all the way to Iraq? I mean, like, what are we talking about?
Do you agree with?
Oh, this is the last thing I want to show y'all. Let me just debunk this video real quick, and then we out and about. Remember this video we saw earlier, right? And ignorantly mentioned. I don't know if ignorantly, I think. Maybe, because to even mention his name, it's fucking just ridiculous. So let's debunk this real quick, all right? And then we'll call it a day.
Let's now get into the part that they really don't want you to know. The transatlantic slave trade happened, but not all of us came on ships. Let that sink in and ponder for just a minute. See, Europeans distorted history to make it seem like black people had no global presence before slavery. But the truth of the matter is, we were here before Columbus. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima.
All right, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. Okay, sounds good. Let's dabble into this fucking idiot. Okay, because that's really where it falls down to. This creation of a fucking theory. It's just like, wow. I guess it's interesting to a certain extent, you know. So Ivan Sertima, the golden age of the Moors. Okay, watch what he says. What does he reference? Who are the Moors? The Moors. The Moors. The Moors. Who are the Moors? Let's find out who the Moors are. Edward Scobie. Okay. So Ivan Sertima references Edward Scobie. Edward Scobie references Leo Africanus. What do they say about the Negroes? Let's read. For all the Negroes, remember, she mentions Ivan fucking Sertima, right? For all the Negroes or black Moors are descendants of Cush, the son of Ham, who was the son of Noah. But whatever difference there is between the Negroes and the tiny Moors, it is a fact that they are all of the same ancestry. Scobie, remember, Sertima references Scobie, Scobie references Leo. That ancestry to which Leo Africanus was referring is African. European scholars in the past 500 years have been deliberately dishonest in writing about Africa. There is an innumerable instance, much too enormous to catalog this in his work. Yada, yada, yada. Right? Okay. Sounds good. So who is this Leo Africanus? So this is his book. Okay. This is the second chapter, I believe, page 6. Watch what it says. The original of the people of Africa. Okay, I'm gonna read it to you. But the original of the African or historiographers do much disagree. For some have them to be derived from the inhabitants of Palestine because, as they say, being expelled out of their own country by the Assyrian, they came in length into Africa, and seeing it fruitful of those soils, chose it to be their place of habitation. Others of the opinion that they took their original from the Sabians, a people of Arabia, Felix, and that before some such time as they were put to flight by the Assyrians and the Ethiopians, as had been aforesaid. Some other report that the African descended from the certain people of Asia, who's being chased hence by reasons of wars which were waged against them, to let into Greece, which at the same time had no inhabitants at all. Howbeit, the enemy still pursuing them, they were forced to cross the sea, the Sea of Morea, and being arrived in Africa to settle themselves there. But their enemies abroad still in Greece. All which opinions and reports are to be understood only of the original of the Tani people, that is to say, of the Nubians and barbarians. Okay? So watch what he says. For all the Negroes or blackamoors take their descent from Cush, the son of Cam, or Ham, who was the son of Noah. But whatever difference there be between Negroes and the tiny Moors, certain it is that they are all have one beginning. For the Negro are descendant of the Philistines. Remember that word. And the Philistines of Mizraim, the son of Cush. But the tiny Moors fetched their pedigree from the Sabians, and it is evident that Sabah was begotten of Ramah, which was the eldest son of Cush. Then he concludes, diverse opinions there be as touching this matter, which because they seem not necessary, we have purposely omitted. Now this guy, he's not a European. Leo Africanus is not a European. He's an African. And he admits that. And I think this same chapter 2 in page 42. Now, he said, Philistines, right? Okay. Who are the Philistines? This is from another book I got regarding the, Ham and all of them. Right? The sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, put in Canaan. Egypt became the father of Ludum, Anaman, Lapan, Nephtuhim, Pathrushim, Kashlahim, whence came the Philistines. Philistines again. It's a mention of the Philistines often. Okay? Now here, let me show you this real quick. Hold on, let me see this real quick. Let me see where you at. Hold on a second. Right, now, let me show you this map. This is a famous map that BHI loves to share with you. There's a lot in this map, right? But listen to this. The Minoan Philistines. Let's get closer to that. What does that say? So here, IUIC uses this map to go to Africa to teach the sons of Ham that they're the real Jews. Okay, that's what they're doing. Let's read it. The Minian Philistines. The compilers of Genesis 10:14 knew the Philistines and other Cretans were in the Iosis stronghold, right, equator, controlled by Egypt. Kashlahim, out of which came Philistine, and Caphtorim. It is not possible on so small a map to show all the surviving Philistine communities. That's what he's saying. Philistine communities. That's what he's mapping out here. He's pointing out the Philistine communities. Sons of Ham. right? But apparently, somehow, some way, that is not enough. Okay. So then, instead of me showing you the link, let me see if I can show you the video, because I think I have it. Hold on a second.
Family, this right.
Oh no, hold on. No, that's another topic. It's that's a crazy topic right there. Let's see. Hold on. Where are you at? Because I mean, I have the link, but you know what? I think it's better to hear it once more from this young man, because again, you hear it from the horse's mouth, right? I mean, you might as well, right? Oh, wait, hold on. No, that's not it. That's not it. Hold on a second, family. Give me a moment. Let me find it. I had it, but it's just that I'm like trying to, remind myself of the, stuff I want to say. Hold on. Things right here. Because I had it with the topic of Canaan. Procopius. Yes, that's true. But let me see if I can just get the kids' video, man. Come on, bro. Just get the kids' video, bro. Come on. Where you at? Hold on, fam. Give me a minute. Just bear with me. Is this it? Oh, they took it off. Oh, you want to know something, family, too? My TikTok channel got banned. Yeah. I guess these pretendians, they get so mad, they fucking reported me. So my TikTok account got banned. Yeah, got banned. All right, we're gonna finish it with this, okay? So let's enjoy this video. Let's sit back, get your popcorn ready. Let's learn about who the Moors are and who they're connected to. Are they Hamitic, Japhetic, or Shemitic? Let's go.
Know that the Moors of North Africa actually come from the land of Canaan? Take this walk with me. In this book called The Vandal Wars, written by the famous Greek historian Procopius, he states the following: "It is necessary to tell from the beginning whence the nation of the Moors came to Libya and how they settled there." And when he's talking about Libya, he's talking about the whole continent of what we now call Africa, because historically, the whole continent that we now call Africa was known as Libya. By the way, this map was drawn by another famous historian by the name of Herodotus. Procopius goes on to explain how the Hebrews, under the leadership of Moses, when it passed to another man by the name of Joshua, invaded the land of Palestine, and how they took possession of that land. And before Palestine, which is this area here, before it was known as Palestine, it was known as the land of Canaan. Here's where it gets interesting, because another name for the word Canaan is Phoenician or Phoenicia. The Phoenicians emerged directly from the Bronze Age Canaanites. They referred to themselves as Canaanites and their land as Canaan. Modern scholarship generally views the distinction between Canaanites and Phoenicians after 1200 BC as artificial. So now that we got that clear, we can move on with the story. Procopius then goes on to state that at the same time, the whole country along the sea from Sidon, as far as the boundaries of Egypt, was called what? Phoenicia. Just for further context, Sidon was the firstborn son of who? Canaan, who was the son of Ham, making him Sidon, a great-grandson of Noah. He then states that in that country, Phoenicia, there dwelt very populous tribes, the Girgashites and the Jebusites. And the Girgashites were known as the fifth ethnic group that descended from Canaan. They're also said to have been the ones that settled in the vicinity of what is later known to be Carthage. The Jebusites were identified as a Canaanite tribe that was listed in third place amongst the groups between the biblical Hittites and the Amorites. They originally inhabited the city of Jebus, which later became Jerusalem. So Jerusalem actually belongs to a Canaanite people. Procopius then goes on to state that when these nations, right, the Girgashites, Jebusites, and those that were inhabiting Phoenicia/Palestine or Canaan, when they saw that the invading general was an irresistible prodigy, they immigrated. They migrated from their ancestral homes in Canaan, Phoenicia, and made their way to Egypt, which adjoined their country. And finding no place sufficient for them to dwell in, since they had been a great population in Egypt since ancient times, they proceeded to Libya. So they immigrated from this area here and then down into Egypt, which is around here, There was nowhere for them to dwell, so they moved this way into Libya. He then states that they established numerous cities and took possession of the whole of Libya as far as the Pillars of Hercules. You may know the Pillars of Hercules as the Straits of Gibraltar, which is this little area here between Spain and Morocco. He then states that in Indigenous in Numidia, he says, in that place are 2 columns made of white stone near the great spring, having Phoenician letters cut in them, which say in the Phoenician tongue, we are they who fled before the face of Joshua the robber, the son of Nun. Just for reference, Indigenous of Numidia is here, which is located in present-day Algeria. He then goes on to state that there was a battle that took place between them and their neighbors, meaning the Carthaginians and the Moors, who, as has been said, had come from Palestine before them and are called Moors at the present time. So according to the famous Greek ancient historian Procopius, the Moors actually come from Palestine and are actually Phoenicians/Canaanites.
I got melanin. Oh yeah. I got melanin. We got melanin.
I don't know what that was about. Let's see. Where is it at? Let me see a second. Hold on a second. There's a video I want to show you. Here it goes right here. Yeah. This dude is actually showing Canaanites or Africans there migrated to Africa. Yeah, man. Like I told you, like Jubilee says, bro. Like Jubilee says, it's unfortunate that our people. What's up, Edom? Good to have you. Edom MK464. It's unfortunate that our people would rather idolize people like Nick Fuentes and listen to rap crap instead of get. Yeah. Well, Nicky Tricky, butt plug Fuentes, he's a Sephardic too. So he's part of the game. He's part of the game. He's fooling people. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing the job. That's what he's supposed to do. So let me share this page too, and then the video, and that's it. All right. So this is important, and it's in Spanish. So I hope you guys understand it, because I think it's important. Okay. Let me see if I can get it here real quick. Hold on, where are you? Hold on, let me see if I can find it. It's up here. Oh, this. Okay. This is a book in Spanish, and it's regarding La Virgen Maria. Remember, I told you who brought that to you guys. Okay. In page 51, these Spaniards, they said that you deserve to get punished because you were the people that killed Jesus, your brethren. You don't believe me? You don't believe me? I'm going to show it to you. It says here, los españoles no creyeron. Watch, I'm gonna knock 2 birds with 1 stone. They didn't believe Juan Diego's story. Bullshit. Here it goes. Los españoles no creyeron en lo que dijo Juan Diego respecto a la aparición y tampoco en lo que expresaba Juan Bernardino, porque para ellos los indios eran seres irracionales o judíos. You see that? So the Spaniards, right, the majority, right, the conquistadors, they didn't really want to help Juan Diego much. I'm sorry, Juan Zumarraga, because they knew that you were Jews. And they said, y se necesita que el Papa Pablo XIII lo sacara de su error por medio de su breve de 10 de julio de 1537, en cual declaró que los indios eran seres humanos lo mismo que los conquistadores. Now why? So here they explain. Fray Pablo Baumen, español y francisqueño de Querétaro, escribió en el último tercio del siglo XVIII que la causa de los indios, que la causa que los indios fueron tan maltratados por los españoles era la etimología de la palabra judío, porque antiguamente la J era la I latina y que la palabra judío se escribía indios, que con el transcurso del tiempo la U se volteó y convirtió en la N y resulta indio en vez de judío. Y dicen los conquistadores, indio vuelto a la N de arriba a abajo quiere decir judío. Y podemos azotar a los indios y exigirles todo el dinero que se pueda. Why? Hold on.
¡Que alguien me explique!
Porque son hermanos de los que crucificaron a Jesucristo. Let that sink in. All right, let's finish it with this.
¿Por qué no os unís a los franciscanos y salváis sus almas? Si es que las tienen. Si se entromete, restadle.
A ver, los evangelistas, Mateo, Marcos, Lucas, Juan. Padre, ¿podéis ayudarme? Creo que he olvidado los nombres. César, Carlos, Manolo, Paco,
Federico, Felipe. A ver, ¿quién hará de Jesucristo?
So basically, is they would grab 12 of us initially, name you all by each apostle's name, and then the 13th one would be called supposedly Jesus. And that's what they were doing, hanging y'all by 13. Why? Because we read in Spanish. Because you, supposedly, your brethren are the ones that killed, quote unquote, Jesus. Let that sink in, family. I hope this was edifying. I appreciate y'all being here, man. You guys already see the email. I shared it with y'all before. Shoot me a message. Matter of fact, shoot me some topics if you want me to touch on stuff that you guys want to know about. Maybe use something you see. It's 144kiswoke@gmail. 144kiswoke@gmail. All right. So send a message. Let me know. Let me stay in touch or something, bro. And then, Sonny, man, I hope you're listening later on, bro. Send me your email, hermano, and I'll, communicate with you. Hopefully, I can do one of these, sessions, on your channel, so we can, start educating our gente. Because I got a lot more information, man, like a lot more information that is still pending to this day. All right, so I appreciate y'all being here. Love you, familia, man. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart. Stay strong, man. And again, it's, pray for your family. Look out for your people. Try to help each other out, man. If you see somebody in need, bro, help them out. Especially if it's your people. You know what I mean? Especially if it's your gente. Especially now in these times. More than ever, bro. We got to show love to our gente. More than ever. Let's go. Have a good night.
Chicanos killing Chicanos is what they want. Blacks and Chicanos killing each other is what they want. That's how they run this place. Once we get together, they don't run shit. Got a lot to learn about being Chicano.
Yeah, Alcatraz, midget loco. Yeah. They never seen this coming, man. What up, Loom? What up, Wario? 500 years of captivity. What else? Now they trying to tell us how we supposed to be, how we supposed to act, how we supposed to rap. I'm brown, but my flow too black. Come on, y'all kidding me, right? Nike Air Flights fitted cock back fresh. Representando mexicanos on the mat. No estoy jugando, got bars like I battle on smack. But hold on, I'ma bring it right back. My people indigenous. I'm not sure if you getting this. By the time I'm done, you gon' be feeling this. I come from the people, they call MESHIACHA. I've been to the motherland, Chichen Itza. Seen the Mayan ruins, intellectual architects. Been in the cenote, seen ancient artifacts. Really? Cali is Mexico, those are the facts. They raped women, gave elders heart attacks. It was a battle, our people were outgunned. Took life and cattle, we were outdone. However, 2 wars proudly we take to the grave. Those we call our Independence Day. It's time to stand up, educate our people. Stay on our ground, let them know that we equal. We see your plan, but your plan is see-through. You can't stop my people. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm holding it down.
Yeah. Story with Mexicans, Mexicano. Gave birth to the word that we know as Chicanos. Aztec warrior, man, it's all in my blood. From the Tenochtitlan, that's the heart of the love. Now I'm Mexico City, that's a modern day name. Don't let the books confuse it to be a modern day slave. Gotta get your facts right and study the culture. Don't be like Cortez, he came like a vulture. Came to just steal and take away the land. He seen what we got and he was like, damn, who would've guessed it had to be a white man. Damn again, now we got stolen lands. They say go back to where the fuck you from. Man, this is my land, that's what you stole from us. I'm not Hispanic or Latino, I'm a Mexican. Man, fuck La Milicia, you can have that bitch.
It's time to stand up, educate our people. Stay on our ground, let them know that we equal. We see your plan, but your plan is see-through. You can't stop my people. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm brown and proud. Mexicano, I'm holding it down, yeah.
For the 5 warriors I
Oye, que estamos aquí. Mírame, estamos aquí. Desde hace rato, cuando ustedes llegaron, ya estaban las huellas de nuestros zapatos. Se robaron hasta la comida de gato y todavía se están lamiendo el plato. Bien encabronados con estos ingratos. Hoy le doy duro a los tambores hasta que me acusen de maltrato. Si no entiendes el dato, pues te lo tiro en cumbia, bossa nova, tango o vallenato. A lo calaboy y bambú, bien frontú, con sangre caliente como Timbuktu. Estamos dentro del menú. Tupac se llama Tupac por Tupac Amaru del Perú. América no es solo USA, papá. Esto es desde Tierra del Fuego hasta Canadá. Hay que ser bien bruto, bien hueco. Es como decir que África es solo Marruecos. Estos canallas se les olvidó que el calendario que usan se lo inventaron los mayas con la Valdivia precolombina. Desde hace tiempo, este continente camina, pero ni con toda la marina pueden sacar de la vitrina la peste campesina. Esto va para el capataz de la empresa. El machete no es solo para cortar caña, también es para cortar cabeza.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. 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 Te muerde, te muerde.
Los paramilitares, las guerrillas, los hijos del conflicto, las pandillas, las listas negras, los falsos positivos, los periodistas asesinados, los desaparecidos, los narcogobiernos, todos los que robaron, los que se manifiestan y los que se olvidaron, las persecuciones, los golpes de estado, el país en quiebra, los exiliados, el peso devaluado, el tráfico de droga, los carteles, las invasiones, los emigrantes sin papeles, 5 presidentes en 11 días, disparo a quemarropa por parte de la policía, más de 100 años de tortura, la nova trova cantando en plena dictadura. Somos la sangre que sopla la presión atmosférica. Gambino, mi hermano, esto sí es América.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. 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 Te muerde, te muerde.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos. Tu cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.